I want to talk now about some of the operational areas and some of the key systems that we will use when we're talking about operations. And so in operations, we're talking about things like inventory, emails, payroll, human resources, procurement, and delivery. I'm going to go through this very, very quickly so that you can get a good overview of what we're talking about. I won't spend a whole lot of time on it because if this is a part of the business that you need particular help on the operations piece of it, we can spend more time talking about the specifics, but I do want to give you that overview. So in terms of your inventory, you want to do some decision-making about what kind of tracking system you're going to use for your physical products and things like that. Inventory tracking can be done manually or you can do it on a computer. A manual system could be something simple as taking a tag off of a piece of merchandise and cross-checking it with your inventory log. If you're going to use a computer system, it could be something where as you scan an item, it actually deducts it from your inventory, and then there are reports that could be fed out. In terms of your email, this is one of the systems that I want to spend just a little bit of time on because I think it's really important. It's one of those places you talked about time management before. Email is one of those places where if we are not careful, we will find that we spend a whole lot of time getting bogged down on answering and checking email and sorting and filing and all this sort of thing. Really, email is a really important communications tool. However, if we don't use it effectively, it can end up, instead of saving us time, it can end up bogging us down and creating more work for us to do. So what you want to do with your email is you want to systemize it. You want to efficiently manage the way that you respond to emails from your customers and your prospects and some of your other key stakeholders. You also want to limit how much time you spend on processing emails. If you get a lot of emails, you may find that you could sit down for a couple of hours or even more going through email, and when you're done, it's almost like you're starting the process all over again because more emails come in. So you may want to limit the amount of time that you spend with your emails. If you get a lot of emails, I suggest you block some time in your calendar where you literally say, every week I'm going to spend about 90 minutes processing emails. Or maybe if you get lots of emails, you may want to have more time each week. If you have customers, for example, who regularly email you, you want to make sure that you don't miss important emails. You want to prioritize. There's this rule, it's called the 80-20 rule, and it basically says that 20% of your input is responsible for 80% of your output. So you can use that for anything. So 20% of your customers provide 80% of your revenue. And so if you think about the 80-20 rule as it relates to the email, the 20% of the emails that come in to your inbox are important, and then the other 80% really aren't. And so you have to figure out which ones are the top 20%, and you really want to focus on using those. One of the tools that I use in my calendar are folders. I would believe most email providers have it where you can create these folders and you can store emails in there. So you might want to create an action folder. This is where you put items in that require your attention, but you're not going to get to them right away. This is where you're going to use that 90-minute block of time so that you can go in there 3 times a week or so, and you can take action on some of those important items. You want to eliminate any kind of emails that are not useful for you. Sometimes it's okay to just read it and not do anything with it, or just totally pass on them. Don't stress out about it. If the email is really important, the sender will usually contact you some other way. You don't have to reply to every email that you get. And then use templates or scripts. When you're writing emails, if you find that you're writing the same kind of emails all the time, so say, for instance, you respond to speaking engagements, or you respond to requests for quotes, or you are responding feedback or thank you, or things like that. If you're doing those on a regular basis, create templates and store them so that when you have to respond to someone, you can just go ahead and use a template and then fill in the customizable pieces of it, like their name, business, or the specifics about why they are contacting you. And then archive. Really look at your email system to see if there's a way that you can archive old emails that For example, if you sign up for a lot of newsletters or if you're on a subscription list for a particular business, you want that information, but you don't really want it bogging down your inbox. So you want to take those emails and put them to another folder and archive them so that you can access them at a later time. Label project folders. So say you're working on 3 or 4 projects at this time and an email comes in and it's related to the project. You're not really focused on that project right now, but you know it's something that you're going to want to work on in the future. So you would want to drag that and put it into one of those folders so when it's time for you to work on that particular project, you can do that. Filtering your emails. A lot of these email providers provide you with these tools where you can filter based upon keyword or filter based upon email address or name. And what you want to do is set these parameters for what the email system is going to do and how they're going to handle these messages based upon some parameters that you put in place. 60-second rule. This is where you sit down with an email, and if you can handle whatever is in it and respond to it in 1 minute or less, go ahead and do it immediately. But if you can't, then it needs to go into one of those action folders that we talked about earlier so that during your 90-minute time where you've carved out to handle your emails, you can actually spend some time responding to them. Scan your email. Some emails you don't even have to read it all the way through. Just scan through it, get the vital information that you need, and once you do, make a determination whether or not it goes into the action folder or whether or not you're going to archive it for future reference or whether or not you're going to just delete it immediately. And then unsubscribe. If you are subscribed to a lot of newsletters or subscriptions and you're not reading them, they're not relevant to you anymore, go ahead and unsubscribe yourself from them. It feels like rejection a little bit. If you think about it, you're saying you don't want the information anymore. But honestly, the person sending the information needs to get that communication from you that you're not their ideal client, so that they're not wasting their time either. What I really want to talk to you about in terms of the payroll system is that a lot of your payroll system is based upon some legal requirements from the local, federal, and state government. So you want to make sure that you are monitoring the hours that are worked, that you're providing W-2 forms, that you're doing the tax withholding as you're supposed to be, that you're keeping a fund for the taxes that you're withholding, that you are remitting the taxes to the government as you should be, that you're meeting whatever tax liabilities that you have, and that you're reporting to the local, state, and federal agencies whatever reports that they require you to report. The payroll system manages the process of identifying, paying, and reporting the funds that are due to the employer, yourself, the employee, and the government. And so as a business owner, you really want to make sure that you get educated on all your responsibilities concerning payroll and related issues. Getting a good understanding of this enables you to be in compliance with the law. And if you're not an employer right now, but you're thinking that you want your business to expand at some time, this is going to be an area where you're going to have to make sure that you have a system in place. There are lots of organizations that will do payroll for you so that you don't have to worry about that. And you pay them a monthly fee, and they manage and handle everything, and they provide reporting, and they just take care of it for you. If you're not going to do that, if you're going to do it yourself, just make sure that you're up to speed and you know what is expected of you. In terms of human resources, you want to make sure that you manage this well, because the people who work for you, your staff, they're really your company's most important asset. And you want to make sure that you create systems that take into consideration what those human resource requirements are. So with human resourcing, you want to make sure that there's planning. You want to take the steps to plan and analyze the internal as well as external environment so that you can figure out how to make hiring decisions. You want to also forecast. That determines, based upon what you have planned for your company, what kind of resources you're going to need to hire. And even if you don't currently have employees, you can forecast your future needs to see what you may need as you expand and grow. And you want to do some analysis. You really want to take inventory of the skills of the people who are currently in your organization, as well as some of the skill sets from the people that you've encountered throughout the recruitment process, because you want to be able to quickly fill a position if one becomes open unexpectedly. And then have an action plan. figure out how you're going to manage your current staff, and then what kind of considerations do you need to have in place for things like appraisals and training and development and that sort of thing, and also have a qualified bench of people who you can use to backfill positions when they become open or available. So procurement is all about purchasing activities in your company. So if you're responsible for making those decisions, and if you're a solopreneur, you are. If you're working with a group of people in your organization, you may not be the primary person for this, but your procurement decisions are going to be based upon requisition, purchase orders, receipts, invoice processing, and your invoice processing can either be manual or automatic, and then some reporting. So I'm not going to go through all of those in detail, but just suffice it to say, in terms of your procurement, you have to put together a system that's going to enable you to go from getting that first order into actually being able to process it through and then provide viable reports that you can use to make some decisions in the future. And in terms of production, a production system enables you to design, produce, and distribute your services and your products. So what you want to do is you want to create a system where you are going to receive an order and then put together a production schedule that will enable you to produce the product and or service that the customer has purchased from you. And then how are you going to produce it? Whether you sell a product or service, you have to produce something of value, and you have to deliver it to the end user. So what kind of production are you going to put in place so that you can meet the requirements that you promised the customer in the first place? And then shipping. If the product is delivered to the customer, you need to either deliver it manually, electronically, or there's got to be a way that you get that product out of your hands into your customer's hands. And so think about that. You know, what kind of actions can you take that are going to improve your production as well as your procurement cycle? Those are the things that we've just completed. Please feel free to send me an email at andrea@andrearichardscott.com. Also, you can call me at 866-302-6501. And one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to take a calendar and block out some time on your calendar. If you can block out several blocks of 90 minutes each on your calendar for the week where you could spend some time working on your business instead of working in your business, the systems will help you to create a business that does not require you to be 100% present all the time. And so this whole concept of time blocking means that you sit down with a calendar, whether it is your cell phone, whether it's a smartphone, a paper calendar, a computer-based calendar, whatever, sit down with your calendar, block out those periods of time, and then decide which system are you going to focus on today.